22 minutes after 7. How you guys doing? You're fine? You're right? Yeah, talk to me on that hashtag after hours on Spice. Alafu na Jonah Fakunembia, the situation on the roads, yeah? You can always stream live, by the way, www.spicefm.co.ke. The boys are on the way with Dial My Heart. Like right now, we are on CTI, that's Cruise the Internet. And the first story is about how such amazing folks, blessed folks, the church elders, church leaders have warned politicians to keep off Niko Kadi voter registration drive. So I really liked this conversation because obviously right now, most Gen Zs and Kenyans are not really feeling this whole idea of politicians also jumping into the movement. You know what I mean? As much as it's like a Kenyan affair, I mean, listen, guys just feel like, politicians just never they never have good intentions with stuff like this. Wanaenda kuyaribu, man. Wanaenda kuchoma, man. So it's getting big by this hashtag Niko Kadi thingy, yeah? It's getting huge. And now even church leaders, like I said, are stepping in. Leaders from the National Council of Churches of Kenya are warning politicians, back off. Wanasema stay away from this. Why? Because Niko Kadi started as a Gen Z-led movement to get young people to register as voters, not a political campaign. And I agree, man. The thing about us not politicizing this whole Niko Kadi thing, it first of all seems like it's neutral. We're not here to push anybody's agenda. It's just about young Kenyans engaging in civic conversations. You getting out there to exercise your constitutional right. It's as simple as that. Whoever you vote for, that's on you. That's how I look at it, by the way. Sasa unajua, if you take advantage of this Niko Kadi thing and start saying, okay, you're not supposed to vote for Kev Matara. Watu wa Niko Kadi, you're voting this way. Bro. Now we're going to be missing the point. Niko Kadi is about literally people engaging in civic duty. Whatever's going to happen on that ballot, it's up to you. I believe right now Kenyans are smart enough to know the type of leaders that we deserve. At the same time, by then, appear the IBC, apparently they're rolling out a major voter registration drive, and the target is 27 million. So they're looking for 2.5 million new voters. Starting today, walianza yo drive today. Registration moving closer to people, and they have an interesting strategy over here. They're going to try and get new voters from universities, wards, huduma centers. Over 10,000 officials and 5,000 plus kits have already been deployed across the country. And it's interesting because the other day I checked some young girls who were very frustrated. It must have been in Nyeri or somewhere like that. Walikuwa nasema, si tumekuja hapa hivi, to register as voters, but we're so frustrated because number one, there's only one person over here who's sorting us out. We've waited on the line for too long. So IBC, these are some of the things that we don't want to hear now. Yeah, there's so much money, taxpayers' money that you're using to further this thing. You know what I mean? To make it happen. Yeah, as much as you think this is going to be a very expensive affair, okay, fine, but let it be seamless. There's nothing as annoying as guys coming from far areas. Alafu unafika at the station, you're being told, chale ameenda lunch, sijui nini, he's a bit busy. Did you see, I think it was even in Kakamega, where some youth were literally helping the IBC officials register them. Not a good look. But you see, Kenyans are about this. Yeah, we will help as long as we get those cards. So, church leaders, I'm very happy. They're saying, let the young people lead this thing. And by the way, also last week we talked about how celebrities, they're going to be having a gig at Uhuru Park sometime this month, just to encourage young guys to get in there and do what they have to do. But let's also be honest over here, guys. Not your politicians, they'll jump onto this thing, whether you like it or not. I mean, who's going to stop you? You understand? But listen, as long as the message is noble, let us get our voters' cards and make sure that we have more numbers especially from the youth, come 2027. You get? So let's keep it moving, man. My name is Kevin, and this is your home of sugar, spice, and everything nice. Ice Cube and Dr. Dre are on the way with Hello. It's 7:34, and we are on Cruise the Internet. And the second story actually is about this whole proposed AI law. Now, the headline is about how Kari Nyamu is opposing the 5 million shillings fine. And as that's less, and she's pushing for tougher penalties on AI abuse. Now, the proposed law by day looks like this. The Artificial Intelligence Bill 2026 introduced in the Senate is modeled after the EU AI Act to govern AI ethics, safety, and transparency, including a mandatory registry for AI systems. And then the AI Commissioner, it said the legislation aims to establish an AI Commissioner with powers to inspect, demand data access, and ban high-risk AI applications. The next one is the key penalties. Now, here's where Karinyam was not in agreement with. Violations of the proposed law could lead to fines of up to 5 million Kenya shillings. That's about $38,000 plus, yeah, or imprisonment for up to 2 years. And then existing frameworks. Currently, the AI is guided by the Kenya Artificial Intelligence Strategy 2025-2030, which was launched in March last year, 2025, and enforced through the Data Protection Act 2019, which regulates automated decision-making and profiling. You get? So, listen, Karinyam was saying, guys, at your fine of 5 million, I will make it. It doesn't make sense. So her point is very simple. For normal individuals, folks like you and I, if we go about unethically using AI, obviously, 5 million is it's very big for most Kenyans out here. Una get, yeah, especially the younger folks who are very, active with the use of AI. And then for big tech companies, she's saying 5 million, it's like it's nothing. That's lunch money for those guys. So we got to review this whole fine thing. Now, she's saying small players and big corporations should be treated differently. Yes. Penalties should match the size and power of the offender. I think that makes absolute sense, because there's some companies out here who literally can set the agenda using their own mechanisms, their own AI tools, and that can really mess up the narrative, especially if it's fake news, yeah, misinformation out there. So really, if you're going to ask them to pay a fine of 5 million, bro, that's like... That's literally the operational cost. One of we feel. And I personally, Maze, let me tell you, as much as I feel like AI is going to make Kenyans dumb, not just humans, I honestly think in an environment that's very active online, yeah, if we don't regulate the use of AI, the unethical use of AI, imagine we're doomed. It's going to be so bad, yeah, and it won't even be, it's not going to be a laughing matter. Yeah, and then she's saying, the effects of AI, if not taken seriously, could affect our education systems, critical sectors, and the wider society if left unchecked. That's exactly what I said. Yeah, so a shout out to Karinyam Maze. I side with whatever she's saying. This story for 5 billion being too less. But at the same time, the real question over here is whether Gava will actually regulate it early and properly. I feel like this story is so, it needs, proper stakeholder engagement. Yeah, because AI, by the way, it's going to really improve on, society. It's going to shift the whole economy, yeah? Yeah, the creatives are going to benefit from it. Companies, the benefits are a lot. So it has to be, the review has to be done very, very well. Yeah, otherwise things could go wrong, and then now we're going to start being reactive again. Yeah, so that's on Cruise the Internet right there. If you're just joining us, basically, Karinyam says 5 million is too less of a fine. She pushes for tougher penalties on AI abuse. We're coming back with more stories right now, 22 minutes to 8. Hello, Ice Cube and Dr. Dre. What's up, man? This is Kev, and the show is After Hours on Spices across the country. Right now, 13 minutes to some Billy. I've got some Herb, Albert, and Lisa Kith, plus Janet Jackson, Making Love in the Rain. Don't miss out on that one. Right now, let's talk all things ODM. And, of course, so I have a few things going on here. Before I even tell you, whatever's trending on this one for Cruise the Internet, the headline over here. Last week, I went ham, and I was talking about how the only thing that Kenyans want to know, Bwana Sifuna, yeah, is whether you're going to be on the ballot. I know right now, guys are excited, the engagement is looking good, the city is in engagement, you know what I mean, yeah, the energy is amazing, but what happens after that? You get, because right now, I kid you not, man, yeah, from my perspective, the next big front page news that most people are looking forward to after the death of Raila. Yeah. Raila's was massive, you guys. Earth-shattering front page news. The next one, according to me, is Sifuna declaring that he's going to be on the ballot. Yo sikudanganyi. Let me tell you, there's a youth renaissance going down in this country. I bet you already know. Yeah? Now, Sifuna being on the ballot, the youth will go crazy out here. Watasema, finally we have our own. Guys not excited about Kalonzo, Gachagua, Matiang'i. I mean, okay, big deal, united opposition, nini, but people are looking for that, our Obama moment. And it's Sifuna, I'm telling you. So, on this headline, apparently Eugene Omalwa, amesema Sifuna and Otsotsi will join us to send Ruto home. So, so he said what, of course, many people were already thinking, that Edwin Sifuna and others in ODM could soon join the opposition bloc to challenge William Ruto in 2027. Alikuwa anaongea in Makueni, and he claimed that these leaders are ready to, support the opposition. So I don't know what you guys think about this. Me, I have my own reservations, because I feel like, what, if Sifuna, at any time right now announces that he's going to work with, join any of these parties, by the way, imagine it's going to kill the momentum. Guys are going to be like, what? Not really. And then now you're going to be what? You're going to run for senator again? Yeah? Ama ukwe VP. People want the big news. I keep telling folks, man, it's the era of the internet. It's the era of the radical. It's the era of thinking outside the box. The internet loves big news. The biggest news that the Kenyan internet streets are waiting for is Sifuna declaring that he's going to be on the ballot and supported by someone like Ndindi Nyoro. Will not amaze guys. Okay, I know what the motive is. Okay, I get it. You guys are saying one time, nini. But before that, trust you me, the only exciting news is Sifuna saying he's going to be on the ballot. You get snacking, united opposition. I feel like what could also be exciting is the fact that he says he's going to be working with Kalonzo, so like a Kalonzo Sifuna ticket. That's going to make... Okay, it's gonna impress guys out here. Lakini, Sifuna Ndindi Nyoro, my God, it's over. What do you think, by the way? Does that make sense? I also saw Raila's lawyer, Paul Mwangi, the late Raila. He was saying whatever we're seeing in ODM right now, apparently was part of Raila's long-term strategy. And according to him, at the ODM, as well as our two sides, a diplomatic side that's about the handshakes, the negotiations, works with government, nini, and then the militant side, the men in black. It pushes for hard opposition. It gives these guys ultimatums. You know what I mean? I feel like that side is obviously headed by likes of Sifuna and Babu Wino, right? So Raila was thinking of not actually continuing with the memorandum of understanding past 2027. Right? I think I generally believe this is very, very true. And I feel like also Sifuna probably was privy to that information. Yeah, so listen, Sifuna, you do what you got to do. Of course, it's not going to be easy, but we'll see. I can't even predict what's going to happen in 27. That's beyond my pay grade. A very good evening. My name is Kevin, and it's about 9 minutes after 8. I've got some Her with Damage. Lady Gaga's also coming through, featuring Bruno Mars with Die With a Smile. That's some 2010 vibes. I love it. So, let's not lie. Women are obviously, most women out here are against casual sex. Yeah, and, they're basically against casual sex, especially with a guy that they don't trust. You understand? Yeah, that's why you're gonna bump into mama saying, they'd rather not get physical for a start, simply because they really don't know you that much. You know what I mean? Yeah, they don't trust you. They don't feel safe around you. You get? So it's not that she doesn't, or she's not open to casual things, getting dirty and whatever on the get-go. It's just that you're not him. That's one thing I've actually come to realize. Yeah. So as much as most mamas out here are against something casual, but what it boils down to that I found out is, by the way, it's not that she's against the casual. Try new things with you, nini, now that you've just met. She just doesn't think you're him. You're not that guy. She doesn't really trust you. Well, you're like any guy. You have loser vibes. Let me tell you, if you are him, ukona character, yeah, you make her feel safe. She can trust you. Believe you me. She actually doesn't mind getting casual with you. I have figured this out endless times, by the way. Yeah? And so now, it's not even about women being so stuck up out here, like they're not open to stuff, nini. Bro, if you approached some chick and then she said no to you, just trust me. Don't blame her. Don't generalize this thing and saying, these days women are hard. Bro. You are not the guy. You're not him, number one. You don't make her feel safe. You're not trustworthy. I don't know. There's a vibe that she gets when she's around you. You don't have character. You don't come off as a guy that she can go long term with. And listen, gentlemen, you can be a better person. If you're always approaching women out here and you're not getting good results, believe you me, it's not on them. It's not on them. If you're thinking, guy, Mazi, how is it that my boy, that guy is so, women are open to getting casual with him on the get-go. Like I said, they trust that guy, man. He just looks like an easy guy. He looks like a guy who carries himself well. He makes them feel safe around him. He's got good character. He's him. You're not him. It's a painful fact over here, that I'm trying to tell you. So, listen. So it's 13 minutes after 8, Kazi. It's 25 minutes after 8. My name is Kevin, and this is your home of sugar, spice, and everything nice. Lizzie Berkey with Growth. And right now, it's all about On Blast. Let me tell you, yeah, there are some people out there who... They're like Bluetooth, these people, by the way. That's how I can describe them. When you're closer to them, they stay connected to you. When you're far away from them, you get the jumping onto the next person. Literally, monkey branches. Branches. The people, when you're closer to them, they're always going to be connected to you. They'll be around, they'll show you all this love, nini. But when somehow you end up being far away from them, even if it's circumstantial, they start connecting to other people. They start looking for hotspots in other people. It's fascinating, man, and it's dark energy, by the way, I literally know folks, yeah? They've broken up today, a Monday evening. Many folks, by the way, by Friday, they've already hooked up with someone else. Monkey branches. Yeah? Isn't it fascinating, by the way? And these are people you should always avoid. It's almost as if they have abandonment issues or loneliness. It's like a loneliness pandemic going on in this country. And there are a bunch of people, by the way, wako wengi sana. Yeah? You've just kosanaed a bit right now. You're thinking, oh, maybe I need to give her time to think about it. Dude, 3 days later, she's out there with Kev. Chilling. She's already feeling me. It's shocking, man. Yeah, these people, it's almost as if they have trauma issues. They've been through so much. Maybe they're used to people leaving them, and they don't know how to stay alone for some time, get yourself together. Because solitude is a good thing, especially, if you're going through some sort of tiff with your partner. It's a good way to sort out problems. Sometimes you just need some time alone. But now you've decided to take a break from the relationship. They're already moving on. You can never trust people like those, by the way. What? Because you see now, me, I don't have the time. I don't have the luxury to start monitoring your movement, making sure that you're around. Yeah? Actually, because you might lose interest. What the hell is that? And it's something I've seen, by the way, with humans of this era. Millennials and Gen Zs, Kwanzaa. You lose interest so fast. You jump to the next person so fast. Just because of a bit of conflict. Monkey branches. You guys are a bunch of What? It's like it's a monkey bus. You know how we used to play those things in Primo? Yeah? On to the next. Without even thinking. Nah, don't trust these people. That's dark energy, man. Yeah, dark energy. You don't deserve that. You don't need to now start monitoring people, checking up, making sure, yo, are you okay? You know, just wondering, you know, how you're feeling after we had that conversation. You know, I want to make it up to you. Nah, bruh. You don't do that. Akita kwenda, wachaende. 8:35. My name is Kevin, and this is After Hours on Spice. Nectar Wood with Light as a Feather. It's coming through in just a bit. Speaking of light, here you guys. Now, there's that story of a Chinese man, by the way, who was busted trafficking ants. You know what I mean? Yeah? And guys were like, what? And kwani hizi ants ziko na nini special yenye tujui? Yeah? Tunaweza tengeza pesa hapo ama nini? You know, that's what many guys were asking. So if you don't know the background story of this Chinese national, he's named Zhang Kekun. He was recently arrested in Kenya for attempting to smuggle over 2,000 live ants. They're called the Queen Garden ants. AKA the Messer cephalotes. Yeah, so he was busted trying to smuggle them outside of the country. Now, the ants were reportedly destined for the exotic pet markets in Europe and Asia, where they are highly sought after by collectors. Now, in case you're wondering about, you want to know more about the legal status. So they say the ants are protected under international biodiversity agreements and Kenyan law, making their export without a permit illegal. Now, immigration officials had previously flagged a stop order on Zhang's passport as he had allegedly evaded arrest in a similar ant trafficking case the previous year. So you get the feeling that he's definitely working with locals over here. Otherwise, there's no way he would have easily evaded arrest. Probably even folks from the police service. Now, let's take you to Gilgil. There's something very unusual happening over there. You get the ants are flying. It's that season for them to get out of the whole ecosystem and start flying around in Nini. Now, but it's not just nature. They say what's happening is this is when this whole this season for the ants turns into a serious black market hustle going down, especially during the rainy season. They say the queen ants, especially the giant red Messer cephalotes. Yeah. So they usually come out to mate, and that's when locals track them down, collect them, and sell them to foreign buyers. So you might be wondering why. One of the reasons is to start a whole colony. So apparently a queen of this Messer cephalotes can literally survive for decades. So it just keeps on laying those eggs, and of course it increases the size of the colony. Another reason is these ants sell up to $220 online. That's about 30,000 shillings. Now you understand why it's a sort of a lucrative market. Yeah. And the demand is coming from people abroad who keep ants as pets in clear boxes. They call this formicariums. Yeah, so literally the people who just like the idea of seeing those ants build colonies, because you see, another thing is they can stay there for decades, yani. Sasa how kazi yao ni tu laying eggs, you know, the sizes increase, and then they build colonies. So it's fascinating to people, especially Europeans and Asians. And one thing I also found out is during the mating season, once the male has already mated with the queen, yeah, because she mates with several males. They are rendered useless, and then eventually they just die. And so that's why many ants are mostly female. Yeah. So what's really going on? The situation is that thousands of queen ants have already been seized in places like Naivasha. Smugglers usually pack them in test tubes with cotton so that they can survive for months. Foreign buyers wait in guest houses while locals do the collecting. Yeah, you don't want to be spotted around. And then cases have already led to arrests, fines, and jail time. And then they also say scientists are surprised by how big this trade is actually getting in Kenya. Yeah, not just East Africa, specifically in Kenya. Yeah. And then, so the importance over here, why this story actually matters is because of two things. So it's not just about insects, they say. These ants are actually key to ecosystems. In other words, they spread seed and support grasslands. So if you reduce the numbers of these ants in our ecosystem, then it could actually affect the environment. Another reason why this should matter is because you know how these guys get so excited about these quote unquote pets being in their spaces, and then they go start explaining to people, oh, you see, they're just about to build a whole colony this side, and the numbers keep on increasing because they're always busy in it, so it's fascinating to folks. But guess what? They can be very dangerous to environments, especially this breed of ants. This one here, they call what? The cephalotes. Yeah. What happens is, if mishandled, they can actually disrupt farming in these countries. So if they somehow find, because eventually they will, if they find a way out of those boxes that they usually put them, that these folks put in their houses, and then they go to now like grasslands and farms, they could disrupt a whole environment. You understand, yeah? Now, it's interesting because as Kenyans, we're not really used to this kind of news. We didn't even know, I personally didn't know that there are people who come to Kenya to smuggle ants. You understand? Because the big one here is, of course, ivory and rhinos. But now, ants are rife on the black market. And the crazy part, you might think this is like, ini kitu kidogo, nini. Wacha enda chukue hizo ants, no? This is big money we're talking about. Yeah, and another thing is, like I said, the effects could be really, really crazy in a few years, yeah? Like I said, they disrupt ecosystems, and before you know it, our grasslands could be suffering, nini. Yeah, so, my question is, what do you foresee happening, man? Do you think this is going to be the norm? In fact, do you think we're actually going to see, for example, a whole industry created due to insects, where now Kenyans are going to be embracing, farms that literally just specialize on growing numbers of ants, like we're exporting? Because I think there can be a whole opportunity for Kenyans to make money off of this. You understand? Another thing is, apparently some of these insects have a good protein, yeah? Very good quality of protein. So there's opportunity for Gava over here to actually tap into. So it's 19 minutes to 9. When we come back, we'll talk about folks who like to laugh. Yeah, even in the presence of pain. It's about 11 minutes to 9. My name is Kevin, and this is your home of Sugar Spice and everything nice. I've got some Elaine. You're the one. Also Miss Hot July by Elmiane. I love it. All right, so like I said earlier, that there are usually some people who tend to laugh a lot, especially at their own pain, some of the crazy things that they're going through, or better yet, in an environment that's full of tension. You get, and most of us have a similar story. I remember when I was young, I had moments where, when I say young, by the way, I mean when I was mostly like a teenager. I think that's when I was, that's when I had these traits. Yeah, so when I would be around my family and I would notice that things aren't so good, there's a bit of tension in the house, no one's really talking to the other, and the vibe is not good. So I used to just crack jokes and laugh out loud, and guys would bounce off that energy and start cracking up as well. So I felt like it was my role to monitor the situation and try and tone down the energy by cracking jokes. So another thing similar to what I just told you is I would always laugh at myself. So, for example, I would laugh at my problems, some of the crazy things that I've been going through. Like if I made a mistake at work, I would literally sometimes even diss myself. I'm so stupid. Wow. And yeah, but then I start saying stuff like, nakuanga hivo, you know what I mean? It's my silly me. So I'd always affirm negative things towards myself. Yeah. So people who laugh at their own pain, yeah, you try and minimize the effects of that pain. Yeah. When somebody asks you, hey, how are you doing, by the way, man? How are you coping? Yeah. Let's say you lost a job, you've lost somebody. You don't want to show them that you're missing them. And so you start cracking up jokes. You start acting like, you're you've already moved on. Nah, man, you're in my life, man. Yeah, hey, but then nilikuwa na overreact, nilikuwa nalia sana during the funeral, yeah. I should have kept myself together. You start, simplifying everything that you went through, trashing those things. You don't really recognize the pain and how it felt and how it made you feel, basically. Yeah, so the type of person who turns pain into a joke, that's who I was. That's how many people are out here. Yeah, you're not really looking to heal. Yeah, you're not cracking these jokes after you've healed. In fact, yeah, you're just very... And by the way, this is something that you've always done, I can imagine, for very many years, ever since you were young. So it's a habit that you've developed. Yeah. And I know on the surface it looks like it's resilience. It's a form of resilience. That some of these people look strong, they look reliable, they look easygoing, but it's something deeper. Like I said, it's a habit that you've had to form. It had a source, You went through something. Yeah. You probably grew up in an environment where showing sadness, talking about painful things was a problem. You were probably shut down by your family members, your colleagues, your friends. Yeah, and so, the right thing to do was just crack jokes, laugh at your own jokes, or better yet, not even talk about some of the things that you're going through. If it was a problem, you lighten that situation, make a joke out of it and move on, because no one has the balls to address some of these issues. Making, by the way, some of our childhood very difficult, yeah? Because now, hey, bana, can you imagine, you get your toy, manze, and always did you express? Not your what the hell? Yeah? You're going through pain. Like, remember that video of that little baby who was literally shivering, yeah? And it was drizzling and he had like a plate. A very, very sad footage that was trending, yeah? And so, if you were in that baby's shoes, now you grow up minimizing some of those problems. You start cracking jokes over that, the fact that you are hungry, because you don't want people to start feeling weird around you. And by the way, it starts as early as that age of that baby we saw on the internet. Yeah, 5, 6, 7 years, you already know that you're not supposed to speak out your feelings. Like I said, and it made childhood very difficult for certain people, yeah? Yeah. Now, you're in an environment that's weirdly quiet. People ignore emotions. Emotions, it's the norm to brush them off. And over time now, what that does is that it teaches a child that feelings are inconvenient. Feelings are unsafe to express. If you dare express some of those feelings that you have, when as a chapwa, you might be, dissed, you might be told off. And so now you adapt as a child. Yeah, instead of showing pain, you reshape your psyche. You've realized, hey, okay, the only way I can express myself is through silence or cracking jokes. You become a humorous individual. Yeah. Without really being vulnerable. You don't really touch on certain topics. You make all these jokes. And I've seen it by the even in Ocha, Yani. I feel sorry for certain people, Yani, because all they do is just, they'd rather make fun of certain things or just be quiet. It must be hell. And then now you grow up being like that. Can you imagine? So psychology makes a clear distinction here. They say some humor helps people cope and heal. It's very necessary. But another kind of humor is very self-defeating. Yeah. It's more about avoiding feelings than processing them. Yeah. For example, you start making fun of some of the crazy things that have happened in your life, the painful things, the emotionally daunting things that you've gone through. Yeah, that kind of humor is self-defeating. Yeah, because eventually now you're going to start thinking you're not good enough. Yeah, you're going to start feeling lonely. Yeah, you're going to start feeling like the world is against you, like no one really cares about your story. Yeah, and it's almost as if people are just stepping around you. No one's willing. You imagine that no one is willing to address some of those issues, those deep-seated issues that you've always gone through. And so now these jokes that you keep on cracking, Yeah, because you're on solo mission technically. Yeah, these jokes about yourself even. Yeah, the fact that you're jobless, the fact that you're an orphan, the fact that you miss certain people, and then now you start cracking these jokes, man. The way you go about expressing them, yeah, they have a serious effect on your physical health. In fact, you can't suppress all these emotions for too long. Yeah, you can't have them unresolved for too long. By the way, this story for cracking up the Chekishaing guys in the room, and you also laughing at your own detriment. Yeah. Like I told you, some of us developed these things while we were young, yeah, these instincts. And so now they become very automatic, so to speak. Yeah, even before you start reasoning out, okay, you know how they say think before you speak? Yeah? You've noticed the room is kind of, yani, bro, you don't even think. You've already cracked a joke over there for people. Yeah? And then now you imagine that you're popular in the room. You imagine that you're likable. You even imagine that people admire you. Yeah? When on the real, you're just a character, man. You're like a cartoon character. No one knows your story. Yeah? Like I said, it creates serious loneliness, by the way. Can you imagine growing old and people just know you as the guy who's always cracking jokes? No one knows anything about him. Yeah? If someone asks you a question, if they show concern about your life, you trash whatever you're going through by cracking even more jokes. So people tend to see that funny side of yours, but they don't see the pain that you go through. Yeah? I've also realized that this is not a form of strength. Yeah? You're just playing a role, and eventually it's going to catch up with you. You get? And so what's the moral of the story? I think it's important to start being authentic, no matter the room. Yeah? If you're in a room where people are always watu wamefura tu, and you think it's your role to tone down that energy, well, now you're grown. You need to know that that's not your job. And obviously, it's not easy because these are some of the things that you've been doing since you were a toy. You need to start being okay with being quiet. You need to start being okay, like I did, by the way, with expressing your true feelings. You guys these days, but when somebody asks me, how I'm doing, if I'm missing certain people in my life, straight up, I'm not going to lie, man. Yeah? If I don't feel good, I'm going to tell you, I don't feel good. I don't feel like, some of these things make sense over here. Yeah, and so be it. And it gives you an awesome sense of relief. Yeah? If I'm missing somebody, if I'm missing, some people that probably passed way back, yeah, I'm not going to act like that's just, what? I'll express my feelings. But you always have, you need to have context. You don't just go around telling everyone your feelings. You need to read the room, basically. And so I felt like this is such an important conversation to have because just understand, yeah, or rather don't take for granted the fact that some people in your room, that office of yours, yeah, in the family, yeah, some of your friends, just because they keep on laughing at everything and just cracking jokes and trying to minimize certain conversations, it doesn't mean that's their true feelings about these things that they're going through. Don't assume that these people are just a bunch of comedians at TCG. This guy's an easy guy, man. This umsana kuangana humor. He's got an awesome character. I like his personality. He's always a happy guy. You'll be surprised. This guy is in pain. He just doesn't know how to tell you. Yeah. He feels lonely. Yeah. So you need to be keen. Just understand that some people cope. Yeah. Some people are scared of the room, and that's why they think if I'm a peacekeeper, if I keep on cracking jokes in this room, then eventually guys will treat me as an important individual. They're going to need me more. It's the reality of situations out here these days in Kenya, man. Guys are coping too much. And people have figured People have come up with all these skills to cope. You just need to be aware that most folks are actually dying inside, man. Guys are lonely. Guys are depressed. People don't know how to deal. Yeah. So that's pretty much what's going on in this second hour. Now, right now, I'm going to hook you up with some awesome R&B, some blues, and some soul music. You got to stick around for the Grey Zone. So let's keep it moving. It is a minute after 9. I've got some Asha and Monica with Slow Jam. Turn the Kazi. My name is Kevin, and this is After Hours on Spice. Case and Joe are on the way with faded pictures. And so right now, it's all about the Grey Zone. So they say the more you heal, the fewer people you are attracted to. Is it? Oh my God, isn't that true? Yeah, so as you heal, your standards also evolve. Yeah, what once felt very exciting may start to feel draining. You know, and what you used to tolerate no longer aligns with who you're becoming. Yeah, growth sharpens your awareness, making you less attracted to chaos, inconsistency, or emotionally unavailable people, and more drawn to peace, stability, and genuine connection. So I want to say something. You know, these days, some guys, especially these young guys out here, get so excited about dating slightly older women. Now, I want you to know one thing, my brother, that these women, some of them, in fact, majority of them, have been through stuff. And they're healing. Some of them have already healed. And so now you, please understand that she's not ready for your chaos and your wasi-wasis. She's not attracted to that. You better be grounded, 10 toes to the ground. You better get into this relationship, you know, with a clear mind. Usipeleke pale mashidas and stuff that don't take your youth energy over there. You know, relax, take it easy, one step at a time, and you guys do life together. Like in this ukienda pale na speed. This chick is not ready to go through what she did in the past. Even guys, yeah, it's not just, you know, not just women, older women, yeah? Even some guys, man, you know, like, this guy is thinking, nah, dude, I'm not ready for drama right now in my life, bro. You know, I've done the work, I've been single for 2 years. I'm not ready for drama, man. I'm not ready for, you know, chaos and noise and emotional inconsistency. And I'm not ready for that, man. So it's true, man. It's true what they say. The more you heal, the fewer people you are attracted to. However long it takes, by the way. Yeah, even if it's going to take me another 5 years for me to find the right person, you know, who has done their work. They've done their inner work. They're also ready for something more elevated. You know, better conversations. They're ready to do life with intention. Until then, I'm not around. So, 18 minutes after 9. This is Faded Pictures. Case and Joe. It's about 14 minutes to 10. We're wrapping up the show right now. Oh, I know, it sucks. Ready for the world with a track that I love so much. It's called Let Me Love You Down. Guys, I appreciate your time. Thank you so much. We're going to do this again tomorrow, same time right here on your home of sugar, spice, and everything nice from 7 till 10 p.m. It's been real. You enjoy the rest of your evening. Stay safe and good night. Right now, this one, Aki track. You get Bananani Bambasana. Ready for the world. Let me love you down. 12 minutes to 10. Peace.